Following tonight's game, there might be some major shakeups with what this team looks like going forward, and that's probably in a worst case scenario or worst play case scenario if some players do not perform. And as you see on the screen there, that's a quarterback for Michigan. We will talk about what's been happening at practice. Talk about this tonight's game. I've got a little preview for you as well, but I think the information that you're most going to want to be watching for is the quarterback situation and what happens after this Washington game as Michigan has a bye next week before the heart of the Big Ten schedule. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. It is the Michigan Football Report by Chat Sports. We are the most watched show on any platform for Michigan football 2022, 2023. Let's make it 2024 as well. Hit that subscribe button. We might go private, Jack. We might go private on October 15th. So get in before we do. Let's take a look at Alex Orji's first two starts as quarterback for this program. 17 of 30, 118 yards, completing about 57% of his passes. Now, only one touchdown. It was to Tyler Morris, and you kind of had to review it and dive for the pylon to get it. Any other touchdown in the opener was it against Fresno to Donovan Edwards. But the lowest passing total for any Michigan football quarterback through his two starts in at least 50 years. I said this on, I think it was Monday's show, maybe it was Tuesday's, but that's a tough one, right? Go back to 1972 that you can point to easily for any Michigan football quarterback. I think it was Dennis Franklin, 72, part of a great run. Year 4 under Bo Schembech. They're 118 yards, and that was 32 yards in the opener. And so what's the math there? 86 in the second game against Minnesota, right? Is the quarterback one, right? The QB1 role for him, is it on the line? Is this the last chance he gets because of health to other players, from development to potentially other players? I think that's got to be something to be considered with how Michigan shook up the practice reps and how they approach this week going into Washington. I don't think you're going to see a different starter. You may see Davis Warren here or there. You might get him in there, especially if Michigan's really performing bad. But Orji's going to start. But with Michigan having a bye next week, you got Washington on the road, you got the bye week, and then you got to go on the road again against what is now a ranked Illinois team that lost by a couple touchdowns to Penn State last Saturday, then Michigan State. All of those are losable games, right? Even Michigan State, who Michigan beat 49-0 at Spartan Stadium last year, that's a losable game, right? They've got a fresh new quarterback. They've got a new head coach. They've got renewed optimism for this season. If Michigan loses to Washington, or if they win another if there's a 17-14 game or 27-24 where they don't score really after the middle of the second quarter scripted offense, you might see another quarterback for that Illinois game. I'll tell you why in a moment. But I'm going to ask you this question tonight. Michigan, Washington, 7:30 national TV, NBC. How confident are you in Alex Orji as the quarterback tonight at Washington? Scale it 1 through 10 for me. 1 being the lowest, of course. You have no confidence. 10, you have a lot of confidence. I got to be honest, Jack. I'm at like a 4.6. 4.6? What are you at right now, confidence scale?
3.
3. All right, maybe. Just a solid 3.
I don't know. Maybe a 3.
All right, we'll see. I got 4.7. Jack has 3. It's kind of like Orji's passing numbers, right? It's like 3, 4. Doesn't even add up to a 10, right? So his passing numbers don't even add up to like 150, lowest total through the last 52 years of Michigan football. But let's talk about Jack Tuttle, okay? Kirk Campbell knows that the eyes of Michigan football nation, Michigan football fans, alumni, other coaches, et cetera, around the country, and his future might be on the line with this quarterback situation. Because if you go back to spring, right, these are comments that he maybe want back, where Michigan felt so confident in this quarterback room. No, they're not going for a quarterback. And the fact that they didn't even try, as far as we know, he's been giving Jack Tuttle the number 2 reps this week from what we have been told, about 15 to 20% of reps with the first team. Now, we don't expect Tuttle to play this week at all. Still is maybe 5, 10, 15% down as far as health is concerned, battling back from injuries that he re-aggravated in late July before fall camp started. But as we told you over the summer in the limited amount of shows that we did, he was by far, Tuttle was, in his 7th year, the best quarterback in informal 7-on-7 drills with other wide receivers, running backs, etc. Now, he's yet to play, but he was in uniform the last 2 weeks. Now, some of you guys said, I've seen rumors on Twitter, etc. It's like, hey, he was warming up in the first quarter, second quarter. Jaden Davis and other people were as well. Okay, fine. But his arm didn't look strong, and maybe that's the case. Maybe he's still nursing a little bit, but with 2 more weeks until Michigan's game against Illinois on the road, if Alex Orji does not take a big step forward, we might be in for a quarterback change with 2 weeks to prepare before Michigan, Illinois. I've got some more on Jack Tuttle, some more on Alex Orji, and I've got some more in my belly because it is game day. And Jack, I have got myself Factor meals. That is how I stay fueled up on long days at the office or watching Michigan football games because I've got less time to cook at home during football season. Thankfully, as I said, we've got today's sponsor, Factor. They help me stay full on game days. Fuel up at Factor's no prep, no mess meals. Meet your wellness goals in time for the end of football season thanks to the menu of chef-crafted meals with options like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved and ready to eat in just 2 minutes. So no matter how busy you are, you always have time to enjoy nutritious, great tasting meals. You get it delivered to you. You pop it up, maybe toss it in the microwave. 2 minutes later, you've got an amazing meal. You can't believe that no one cooked this fresh for you right there. That's how great Factor is. That's how great it is to eat healthy with Factor. Keep kitchen time to a minimum. Factor meals are ready in 2 minutes. No shopping, prepping, cooking, or cleaning up. The link is down in the comments description. It's factormeals.com/MichiganChat50. Go down there and click it. And when you do, use MichiganChat50 as your code. Again, it's MichiganChat50 as the promo code to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month. That code and that link are down in the comments and the description of today's Michigan Football Report. Michigan Chat 50 is the code for 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is still active. If you ate Factor, folks, you wouldn't be hungry on game day or be worrying about meal prep like I am not here as we're hours away from Michigan at Washington. Let's talk more about Alex Orji, right? He's got to take a big step forward tonight, right? And I'm not just saying with getting the win, because even if Michigan wins, I don't think that guarantees him the starting job going forward. He has to look competent. He has got to lead touchdown drives in the second half. He's got to lead touchdown drives when Michigan's plays aren't all scripted to give this team confidence that we can beat Oregon, that we can beat Ohio State again, that we can beat Indiana, Illinois, Michigan State down the stretch. You got Northwestern in there as well, which I guess Jack playing quarterback, Jack Tuttle, not Tuttle, hopefully could get the win. But let's get to know Jack Tuttle. As you see on the screen there, he was the number 110 overall quarterback in the 2018 class. Think about how long ago that is. We're going to talk about a guy who's almost as old as him in a second. Enrolled at Utah, didn't play in the 2018 season, then transferred to Indiana 2019. Got some starts in 2020, right? Ironically, was the backup quarterback for both Michael Penix and J.J. McCarthy, two top 15 picks in the NFL draft this past year. Transferred to Indiana, got some starts there, and started 2 games in the 2020 season. Transferred to Michigan for 2023, national championship quarterback there, and is in his 7th year because there's been injuries and yada yada, COVID year. He got awarded a 7th year at Michigan. Now, he only threw a few passes last year, but he was 86% completion, 130 yards, had 1 touchdown, no picks. But for his career, right, got a few starts in there, played a bunch of games, 1,030 yards, throwing about a 60% clip passing, only 5.2 yards, average yards per pass, which is kind of low. And what I also don't like to see is 6 touchdowns against 6 interceptions. So you can't be making mistakes if you want to keep that starting job if he is given it. We saw also what happened with Davis Warren throwing 6 interceptions in his first 3 starts as Michigan's quarterback, including 3 in the final game before losing his starting spot against Arkansas State, before losing his starting spot to Alex Orji. So a major shakeup is potentially going to happen after this week in the worst-case scenario that either Michigan loses the game and Orji plays terribly, or they win the game, but it's ugly like the last 2 weeks have, and they have no confidence in the offense under Alex Orji. We're told the expectation right now is that Jack Tuttle will be ready to play, healthy enough to play by the Illinois game, and it all really depends on what Alex Orji shows in his 3rd start tonight at Washington. So who will be the starter after the bye? You've got Illinois after the bye. Then you've got, what's the schedule again there, Jack? It's Illinois, then it's about Michigan State that next week, right? Those are the 4 games. There's 4 weeks in October. You've got Washington, bye, Illinois, Michigan State. That's the month of October, which kind of seems crazy because October's got 31 days. You already had 5 games in August and September. That's just the way the Saturdays fall. Give me an AO or JT. I'm going to say JT, but I hope I'm wrong. I hope Alex Orji goes out tonight and absolutely balls, but I think it'll be more like the USC game where Michigan, I think they're going to get the win tonight, but I think it'll be ugly, and Michigan's going to have to rely a lot on the defense to come up big and Kalel Mullings to play a little hero ball and not as much as Orji stepping up and seizing that QB1 job. we've got some questions that we wanted to throw out, some comments, I should say, we're going to throw up on the screen to give some love and answer these from our audience. So Deontay Ford, this is a long one, so it's going to two screens. It's like relax, RELAX, relax. Alex greatly opens up the running game. Talking about Alex Orji for the running backs when he's on the field because the defense has to accounting for him. Cool. Secondly, his first two starts were gets big to opponents, not against Cupcakes. Fair enough. I guess that's fine. There was definitely progress from his first start to his next. I don't think that's true. I don't see a lot of progress from his first start to his next, honestly. Warren is getting close. Is getting worse, I should say. They said Orji is getting better. We need to calm down and be better as Michigan fans. We are too emotional. And he continues on there. I guess that's the end of it right there. We are too emotional. I guess, but when you saw the excellent level of play J.J. McCarthy, you know it's possible, and you know that the guys on staff now with Orji, Kirk Campbell, Sherrone Moore, your head coach, were the ones that were coaching J.J. McCarthy and others last year. You kind of are a little bit boggled how the quarterback play could be this bad, how they didn't recognize it in practice last year or spring practice, right? The wide receiver production has been abysmal this year, but it's been even worse with Davis Warren not back there and Alex Orji being your starting quarterback, right? You got Samaj Morgan, didn't even play the last game, right? Didn't even play against Minnesota. He is your leading receiver, wide receiver in these two games with Orji as starting quarterback with 3 catches for 6 yards. Yes, I said 3 catches for 6 yards. Tyler Moore's 1 catch for 11 yards and a touchdown last week. Frederick Moore, 1 catch for 5 yards. I think that was just an end around. That was the tosses in front of the quarterback, so it counted as a pass. And then Kendrick Bell, 2 catches for 24 yards. Should have had a third and may have got injured on one of them against Minnesota. But that's your wide receiver prediction. Count that up. What's that? It's 46 yards passing from to the wide receivers. Basically, all the yards are going to Donovan Edwards, Colson Loveland, or Marlon Klein. So I don't know if it's the wide receivers are just that bad or if Orji just Michigan's passing game does not exist downfield, which I think is pretty clear that's a combination of both of them. But I would blame, based on what we saw with Davis Warren, at least he was making passes downfield. Orji is not. Let's keep it rolling. I wish nothing but success. As you see, I wanted to kind of do that guy right there. But you saw there, wish nothing but success for him. Hope he has a great game tonight. But if we see more what we saw the last couple of weeks, we know what's going to come after the bye week. Let's go on to the defense. Wink, Martindale. Wink, don't get screened. All right, I'll tell you about that. What that means. Reminder, subscribe to the Michigan Football Report. It's the most watched show for Michigan football. Tell your friends, youtube.com/MichiganTV. Michigan has been getting attacked by the screen game all season long. I saw this in one of these, advanced game day reports. Most screens, a nation leading 39 screen passes their opponents have passed against them this year. Number 2 was Duke with 5 less, with 34 so far this year. Opponents, you expect a high percentage. That's about 76, 77% there. 31 of 39 when they attempt a screen. But in Michigan's defense, a shout out to them, only 3.5 yards per attempt on those screens. So they're not going for a ton of yards, 137 yards total against the screen. So it leads me to believe that Michigan's opponents see something with the high level of blitz. Right? If you're blitzing guys, you let them come in, you toss over their head, boom, less defenders downfield to protect against and defend against the screen. Or you're letting those defensive linemen rush up screen when Michigan drops back in the zone. Same kind of deal is that you open up some space. So Michigan's strengths are being used against them, or their tendencies when it comes to blitz are being used against them by their opponents. And now you go to Will Rogers, right, who's been around the block, and he's a 6-year senior again, transferred from Mississippi State, been throwing for hundreds of yards, 300, 400, and 500-yard passing games in the SEC. He's attempted 40 and 50 passes, a bunch of games. I think even a 60-yard passing game. But he's been a hell of a player this year on screens, 16 of 16 on screen passes this year for 114 yards. Jed Fish, when he was Michigan's QB coach, he dialed up a ton of screen passes, not just to running backs, to wide receivers, to tight ends, et cetera, et cetera. Michigan needs to keep an eye out for these screens, and you cannot get burned by them because they like to throw screens, again, not just to running backs, screens a lot, to their wide receivers. And that brings me to this guy. Hello there, old friend, Giles Jackson, the guy who walked off Michigan Stadium in 2021 after the kind of rejuvenation game for this Michigan football program, beating Washington in the second week of the year in 2021. You're like, oh man, I'll come off COVID here. This team is for real. And someone said something to him, and he just said something, F you, and the B word, which I tweeted out on Thursday when I realized, Jackson's still on this team, as I was finally doing my deep dive on Washington. Now, he played 2 seasons for Michigan. We all remember him. 2 kickoff return TDs, which were awesome. He also, and this is a crazy stat, Jack, you like this one, Giles Jackson in his 6th year, because 2020 didn't count for against anyone's eligibility, and then 2021 he only played in 4 games before getting injured, so didn't he's able to take a red shirt. So this is kind of like his 5th year, COVID year, 6th year, 4 years he played, 2 at Michigan, and now the last 2 at Washington. How about this? He is the only player in the 145 years of Michigan football, and however many they played 120 some Michigan versus Ohio State, the only player to be a minor, to not be an adult. He was 2.5 weeks shy of his 18th birthday. His birthday's in mid-December when he scored the first touchdown in the 2019 Michigan-Ohio State game. So you think about that. Think of how long it's been since Michigan has lost to Ohio State. It's been a decade, it seems like. That's how long Giles Jackson's been in college football. His 6th year, he scored the opening touchdown and an end around for Michigan. Ultimately, they lost in kind of embarrassing fashion, 56 to 28 it was, against Ohio State this year. It was the Justin Fields year, coming off the 62-point loss, 62-39 loss in 2018. But that's the last time Michigan lost to Ohio State, and we're not going to see it again for a while. But he made a pretty decent impact. I was kind of bummed when he transferred, and didn't do anything in his first 3 years, really, for the most part, against Washington. He transferred away from Michigan and has lost to Michigan twice in 2021 and then again in the national championship game, which he didn't make an impact at all. But now under a new coaching staff, now under Jedd Fisch, he has had a revolution of his 6th year, kind of revitalize himself, because he is their leading pass catcher when it comes to receptions. 34 receptions. His other guy next to him, Denzel Boston. They throw out 4 and 5 receivers sometimes. They've got tight ends. They have a really developed passing game. Second in the team in receiving yards at 401 behind Boston, and then averaging 11.8 yards. Now, Boston is the guy you want to keep an eye on from the touchdown side of things. He has scored 7 touchdowns to Giles Jackson's 1. So that is receiving group. Keep an eye out for Giles Jackson, an old friend for Michigan football. You got to go back, Jack, to 1989. 1989, the last time Michigan won a regular season game against a West Coast Pac-12, whoever else it is, school. They've lost their last 4. They don't go on there really a lot, right? It's been since Jim Harbaugh's first year, so we're talking about 10 seasons ago. 2015, Harbaugh's first game, a Thursday night game on Fox. And they lost 24-17 to Utah. Remember, who can forget that 2003 game? That was just like such a frustrating game for Michigan football fans. 2001, lost to Washington. And then 2000 UCLA game. That was one of them. That was a younger guy then, etc. That was when you were expecting a national championship team from Michigan. Drew Henson got hurt the first 3-4 games of the year. You had to throw out freshman John Navarre, redshirt freshman John Navarre, and Michigan should have waxed the floor of that UCLA team. But just a number of things, and there was like an interception off a guy's foot, there was a punt return or kick return for touchdown, and the game just completely flipped on its head in the 3rd and 4th quarter as Michigan looked like they were going to win and pull out of there, but they didn't. Now, Michigan does have some recent success, of course. Just earlier this year, January 1st this year, they went out and got the win in California in the Rose Bowl against an SEC team. So, they've got some West Coast, winning on their record this year. So we'll see kind of how things shake out. Get down there. Let me know what you guys think is going to happen tonight. And if you want to continue to put your score predictions in, this won't be the one for the Venmo. So go to Friday's video if you want to do the Venmo. But, let me see some score predictions before we get down to kickoff. Probably about 6-8 hours when we publish this before kickoff. You guys enjoy the game. Probably be back either Saturday night or Sunday morning with our overreaction or instant reaction show. Until I see you guys then, go Blue.